24. I feel like he's an old man by now.
True. 'Cause I think that Brad Carpenter is 25, and I always say, "Wow, Brad, you're so young. You have so much youth."
That's crazy. I thought he was 35 or something.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I mean, I feel like he's like my age.
You're thinking because he hangs out with Kevin Jones, who like looks like he's falling apart.
Are you all right?
I haven't been all right for some time. I'm turning 30 this year, Todd.
Yeah. Well, join the club.
Things are going south for old Ryan Overturf.
So what you're saying is you're getting real close to the daddy's age.
Please don't say those words in that order ever again.
What? You're not a huge fan of the daddy?
Oh, I love Kevin Jones.
The Daddy Jones?
I do love Kevin Jones.
Yeah, he actually got 9th on tiebreakers this weekend. A real rough break for him, but a great showing. He was playing, is it Phoenix? He actually had an article on the archetype this past Friday. Him and I actually both wrote about the archetype. He developed a really good sideboard guide, so if you're interested in that deck, make sure to check that out. It should be on StarCityGames.com's Friday articles.
Yeah, he was one of the players over on StarCityGames.com writing in the What We Would Play column. And he said, listen, I was going to tell you to play Is It Phoenix whether it was good or not, but lucky me, it's actually winning tournaments. And he came out and he got 9th place. As you mentioned, it was a tiebreaker affair, so he was pretty close to a top 8. It was a good tournament for him.
Yeah, sadly he actually beat Ross Merriam in the last round of Swiss. Okay. Turns out Zan spent a lot of time not desideboarding last match. So getting some of those definitely Clarions and spot removal spells out of his deck in favor of the good ones for this matchup.
Yeah, and he got it done before the match started.
Yeah, no harm, no foul. Definitely caught it before, but that's why it's taking a little longer to start than normal.
Yeah, we're late into the weekend. This match means a lot to these players. I get it.
Absolutely.
I got nowhere to be. And in fact, when the show's over, until tomorrow night, I'm going to throw my phone into the ocean.
Bucket of water. Grab you a beer.
I can safely watch Game of Thrones. So this match could go until 4 in the morning, and I'd be cool with it.
Come on, man.
I mean, I would feel bad for you. And I would probably be pretty wore out. But I'm saying I got nowhere to be.
Sure. Now, these two players here, a lot is on the line for both of them. Not only are they playing for huge chunks of money, we got $5,000 to first place. We're also looking at a significant impact to the leaderboard for the Players' Championship race, impact to the leaderboard for potential buys. And every point matters. And these players both play on the SCG Tour quite a bit. There's a chance that one of these players accrues some points here today in this match, and those are enough to put them into the extra slots at the end of the year, the at-large slots for the Players' Championship.
Yeah, definitely. Both players with over 60 points coming into the weekend. But now we do have some magic underway. Steam Vents and Godless Shrine is where both players will start. Turn number 2 for Zan. Deck usually is just a tap land pass, and that's what it is. Hollowed Fountain back to Tomijko's way.
Yeah, Zan's head looks pretty good here. If nothing from Oliver, he's going to probably play Saheeli this turn, play a Mox Amber, and then use that to cast Opt. And that's going to generate 2 servo tokens, which can potentially start pressuring Oliver and his Planeswalkers.
Zan will shock to 18 for Steam Vents. There's Saheeli, and here is a Mox Amber. Remember, this is a 3 Spell Pierce deck. That'll make a servo token. No action from Tomijko, and we'll go back Tomijko's way.
Yeah, I really like the patience from Zan. I think a lot of players would have cast Opt on turn 2. Zan trying to get full value out of his spells that kind of spin the wheels. That's one of the reasons why Saheeli Sublime Artificer is so good in this deck.
Glacial Fortress is the 3rd land for Tomijko. He's going to cast a Narset Parter of Veils. And Zan did not have a Spell Pierce. Opt will be the response. He's going to make a servo. Start by scrying on that Opt. Goes to the bottom and he'll draw. But Narset is now good, and Tomijko is going to take a look at his top 4.
Narset's okay here, but under pressure from 2 servos means that the Narset's only going to get activated a single time, and the static ability is going to have to do some heavy lifting. So hopefully for Zan, he can take down that Narset in a turn or 2.
Yeah, the find for Tomijko is Ugin the Ineffable. It's going to be a bit before you see that one, but it is a powerful card. And we'll go to Syed.
Yeah, being able to minus and destroy basically any colored permanent is quite powerful. And then obviously generating 2/2 bodies is not so bad. And if your opponent ever actually deals with those bodies, you get to just draw the cards that they were.
Syed will shock for a Hallowed Fountain to 16. And here is Sarkin the Masterless. Here's another servo. And this gives him a pretty easy answer to that Narset, but he's actually just going to make a dragon token rather than plussing.
Yeah, once... Ooh, no, I love this play.
Actually, this is still an answer, yeah. Servo copying dragon.
Yeah, this is going to clean up the battlefield quite nicely for Zan, as well as generate just a lot of pressure from multiple angles. Now, Oliver's going to need a sweeper effect to clear the dragon and the servo tokens, and he's also going to need something like the Elder Spell, which he only has 2 copies of in the main deck, to deal with these 2 Planeswalkers. A really great play from Zan.
The other servo knocked Tomijko to 19. He'll go to his turn. He'll start with an Oath of Kaya that does answer the Sarkin. That's a good start. He'll go to 22.
Oh, absolutely. Sarkin threatened a ton of damage on the next turn, so definitely knock that one off as opposed to the Saheeli.
Wrap things up with Watery Grave Pass. We'll see what Zan can add to the battlefield from here.
At the very least, 7 points are coming across. Going to put Oliver down to 15. Let's see if Zan wants to deploy any more threats onto the battlefield. I think a couple of Planeswalkers might be safe. Narset definitely a good one there. Yeah. Fine.
Narset Porter of Veils makes a servo off Saheeli. He'll look at the top 4.
Probably looking for something like Spell Pierce to try to keep Oliver off of Planeswalkers of his own.
Found Opt. That's not a bad one.
Yeah, servo at instant speed's quite good. I wouldn't be surprised to see another minus off the Saheeli. The loyalty doesn't come up that much, but when you do get to use it, you should, because your opponent is very incentivized to just kill that Planeswalker no matter what because of the ability to generate servos.
Yeah, when you talk about damage output and loyalty thresholds as well, Oath of Kaya kills it at 1 or 3, and you do see him go for the dragon copy. So here's an attack for 10 to mark Tomijko to 12.
Yeah, and not quite threatening lethal next turn, but still has a lot of power on the battlefield, as well as 2 Planeswalkers that are posing threats to Oliver.
Glacial Fortress was the land for turn, and Zan will pass back to Oliver. Kaya's Wrath, that'll clean up these creatures. And yep.
Yeah, this is, I mean, here, if I'm Zan, he actually found the Opt off the Saheeli. I would have been a huge fan of trying to find a Spell Pierce here. I think if you catch a Spell Pierce off of the top with Opt, like, the game almost ends on the spot. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you also want to make sure that you have a little bit of pressure, and getting a servo after the Kaya's Wrath resolve is also fine.
Yes, you see him do that. Opt end steps, and now he has a servo. Start his turn with another minus on Narset. There's a shock, a couple lands, and Karn, Scion of Urza is the find. We have seen him a few times this tournament use this combination of Saheeli plus Karn to make really large constructs.
Yeah, I really like the approach Zan has to this matchup, and this is exactly how he navigated it earlier, where he tries to use his Planeswalkers to generate bodies specifically and force Oliver to have answers on 2 different fronts. You need answers to creatures, and you need answers to the Planeswalkers. So here the Karn, making a Karnstruct, that Matthias Hunt token, going to probably punch in for 1 point of damage here and see if he has anything else.
Extra servo made as well. Tomijko down to 11 off of that attack, and Syed will pass to him.
Yeah, notably that's a 4/4 Karnstruct right now, because we do have that Mox Amber hiding out in the lands. And every non-creature spell that Zan plays is going to pump it even more, as well as the minus from the Karn again.
We'll see what Tomijko can do about it. Here's that Ugin the Ineffable we saw so many turns ago.
It doesn't kill Karn.
Yeah, it doesn't kill any of these creatures either, right?
Yeah, it's not nearly as good as it should be.
Yeah, so it's just going to be a plus. Tomijko will make that 2/2 Spirit token.
Yeah, that's pretty disheartening if you're Oliver, because that doesn't come up very much. The minus kills basically everything, and in this scenario, it just doesn't. It was basically a minus to kill Saheeli / Narset, or a plus to generate a 2/2 that maybe gets the card back into your hand, depending on how Zan approaches this turn.
Yeah, and with the Narset and Saheeli both already down to 1 loyalty, it wouldn't feel great to -3 on either of those.
Right. Yeah, they've already basically done their job. Saheeli generated, what, 5 servos so far, at least, minus twice to do a couple damage by copying a dragon token. It is really tough for for Oliver right now.
Not to mention that one servo just cleans up the Ugin after that. Syed looking at a tap of 3, maybe a Teferi coming down. It's actually an extra Narset, so we'll make a servo. We're going to choose the new one and immediately put that one down to 3. Look at the top 4 cards of the library. I think this is probably the most activated card we've seen this weekend.
Yeah, Narset is just so good, and I think all these Super Friends style decks are putting it to great use because Narset chains into more Narsets or other Planeswalkers that draw cards or affect the battlefield. It's just a stellar card, and one that I've been very impressed with over the last few weeks.
And it looks like Zan has some tough options. He's really mulling over these 4 cards he's looking at.
Yeah, so here I think there might be another Saheeli in the mix because he started counting his artifacts, and there might be some merit to playing another Saheeli, which gives you another servo. You can minus on the Construct and have 2 Constructs coming in, and those are pretty big right now. That's going to force a chump block from the Spirit on Oliver's side, and maybe not quite do lethal, but come very close.
Yeah, definitely checking combat math in some capacity here. See him counting his creatures over. Shock is the card that he finds.
Yeah, that's a good one. Shock also just grows the... Ooh, yeah, he's going to make another Construct. He's probably going to shock the Spirit because that's almost 100% just going to chump block.
And so now the Constructs are up to 6s. The Shock would make them 7s.
Yeah, it's only 9, and the Spirit can still chump block, so he needs one more thing. And that's a Lightning Strike, and that should do it. So let's go 2 there, make a servo. Lightning Strike the Dome, make another servo, and then attack for quite a bit.
And Zan just had lethal that turn, so he's going to be up a game.
And you saw that strategy. Just every Planeswalker that he could make a creature with just immediately makes creatures with, and that just forces Oliver to choose between interacting with the creatures or interacting with the Planeswalkers. And combined with a little bit of burn, and Zan was able to clean up that game. And that was turn 7. That was pretty quick for these decks.
Yeah, Karn does hit hard, especially in conjunction with Saheeli you saw there. So now players are going to check out their sideboard, see what they want to do here on Zan Syed's side. He has those 4 Legion Warboss, 3 Prison Realm, 3 Dovin's Veto, 2 Lava Coil, 2 Lyra Dawnbringer, and a Deafening Clarion. What do you like about that?
So we've talked about this matchup quite a bit this weekend. I think Legion Warboss is definitely great because it comes down, it creates a 1/1, and starts pressuring the opposing Planeswalkers. It's one of those cards that forces your opponent to have a sweeper effect if it is unfettered for a turn or 2, and it kind of forces Oliver to sideboard in such a way where he might draw a bunch of Cry of the Carnarium in the face of a bunch of opposing Planeswalkers, and that's just a bad spot to be in. Other than that, I think Prison Realm and Dovin's Veto can both come in as answers to Planeswalkers. Prison Realm hits the ones that I've already resolved. Dovin's Veto can keep them from coming into play to begin with. So I like those 10-ish cards. I'm not really sure what to bring out. The burn spells are okay, but they're not all that necessary.
All right, and then Tomijko, a bit more diverse options in the sideboard. There's 2 Duress, 2 Cry of the Carnarium, 2 Command the Dreadhorde, 2 Enter the God Eternals, 2 Moment of Craving, a 3rd Elder Spell, a Dovin's Veto, a Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, Ixalan's Binding, and a Spell Pierce.
So this is a slew of a bunch of 1s and 2s that I think a lot of which can have significant impact in this matchup. And Oliver, I'm just going to trust that Oliver knows how to sideboard in this matchup because this is his 4th time playing against it. Duress is pretty much a no-brainer. Command the Dreadhorde, I think, is pretty good, especially when you combine it with the 3 Elder Spells. There's a chance that his life total is so high that he can just Elder Spell into Command the Dreadhorde over a 2-turn cycle or once he hits 8 mana and completely change the course of the game. Stuff like Moment of Craving and Cry of the Carnarium can come in to beat just Legion Warboss, but I don't love them. They are kind of dead for the most part. But I do think Cry of the Carnarium is quite good. The Elder Spell can come in. Dovin's Veto, Yawgmoth's Vile Offering is a slam dunk. Ixalan's Binding, these enchantments are a little bit iffy against Teferi Time Raveler just because it can bounce them, and you get more activations out of your Planeswalkers. But if Ixalan's Binding does hit Teferi Time Raveler, it's going to be a little harder to unlock.
Yeah, definitely a lot of options there. This week we've been watching Standard all weekend. We do have one more open stop before the Season 1 Invitational wraps up the season at SCGCon Summer. That stop's going to be Modern in Louisville next weekend, and we're going to tell you more about that right now. So that will be Modern. You and I will not be there, but Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, Brian Gottlieb, and Jerry Thompson will be bringing you some Modern action.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
I guess you might be there.
Where I won't be.
You and I won't be there.
Yeah, I might go.
Because I won't be there.
I might go. I really wish it was Standard. I've been playing a ton of Standard lately, but it might actually give me a reason to go if I get to play with some Dreadhorde Arcanist in my Grixis mid-range or Teamer whatever shell. I just really want to do a Teamer Delver Becomiments deck.
Sure.
Just Becomiments, Dreadhorde Arcanist, and then attack and do it again.
Yo, just play the Standard Classic.
Just drive 6 hours to play Standard Classic?
Yeah, man.
But that's not who I am as a human.
That's true. You gotta grind.
I fight for trophies and or going home.
Too good for a plaque.
No, I got plenty of those. Look, we just want the trophies. I got 6. I want 7. Wait, do I have 7?
Well, no matter you have N, you want N+1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the same number as Jerry if you combine all of them, and I want one more. So
makes sense. Nothing personal against Jerry.
No, Jerry's great, but I want to beat him. I think Tom might actually have caught me too at some point. I think he has 5 2-day open wins and 2 invitational wins. So I think we're actually tied. But I think I have 6 open wins and 1 invitational win. Jerry has 5 and 2, and Tom has 5 and 2. So we have the same number of overall trophies, but they have an invitational ahead of me because I can't close.
You can close one of those 2 players.
Yeah, literally one of them has to. And they better do it quick. It's almost 9 o'clock.
Nah, they can take their time.
They can, I know.
There's no rush here.
No, we got HBO Go.
These are untimed rounds. Yeah.
We got it on demand.
Live television's a thing of the past.
Sure is.
I do like to watch things live to the extent that I can. And really appreciate everybody watching this tournament live at home.
Yeah, that's true. I do actually watch quite a bit of VODs on Twitch, especially for various tournaments that I am interested in and various games.
Something about it happening while I'm watching it just means something to me. And I don't know what it is. If it's just that I grew up in an era before live streaming, obviously you don't feel the same as I do and you're older than me, but I'm just saying that might explain my behavior.
I don't think anything really explains your behavior other than nihilism.
That's a good point.
But both players here getting their sideboards all settled. Syed up a game here in the finals with his Jeskai Super Friends deck. The talk of the tournament. It's been on the top tables all weekend in the hands of Team Lotus Box.
This is a shot at redemption.
Oh, for sure.
Abe Corrigan, his 75-card deck teammate, was just dispatched by Oliver Tomijko.
Yeah, and Tomijko, handled him pretty well, but here, down a game, and that did not look he should be advantaged in this matchup personally. But I think these games are going to be pretty swingy in general. I think the Planeswalkers kind of have that effect on games whenever you're first to hit the board. First to the battlefield is usually the one that's going to be advantaged just because your opponent's going to be the one who has to hit the answers first.
I think that a huge part of these sideboard games, tell me how you feel about this, Tomijko has that 3rd Elder Spell, but now Zan has Dovin's Vetoes instead of just Spell Pierces.
Yeah, so the combination of Pierce and Veto, especially when combined with Legion War Boss, is going to be a significant problem for Oliver. And if Oliver does have the backups with Elder Spell as well as just a lot of the same types of Planeswalkers that Zan does, so they have very similar game plans in what they're trying to accomplish. I just think that the X factor is that Legion War Boss.
And we have seen Tomijko approach this matchup a couple times this weekend. post sideboard, he knows about War Boss, especially now, face-up deck list. There's 4 of them there. You can see them. So he hedges a little bit. Has stuff like 1 or both of his Cry of the Carnariums post sideboard, so he can recover.
Yeah, and I've actually seen him cast a Kaya's Wrath post sideboard too, because a lot of these planeswalkers generate creatures, and sometimes he just needs a way to clear off all the servo tokens or all the constructs and all the servo tokens together. And Cry of the Carnarium does a great job of cleaning up basically everything except the dragons that Sarkhan makes.
Well, it's going to need to clean up a mulligan to 6. Tomijko is immediately dissatisfied with his opener, and you can see Syed's hand there, and it is hot.
Yeah, a couple lands, Legion War Boss, look like just a really spicy one, and I'm curious to see if Oliver's 6-card hand is able to keep up.
Yeah, he should need a pretty good one here. We'll get a look at that 6. He will be on the play as he is down a game.
We'll say this, when I first saw Oliver's deck was super early in the tournament, and was not a huge fan, but the more I see him play with it, the more I like it. But
is he keeping 6 lands here?
Sure is.
Hallowed Fountain go. 5 lands left in hand.
What do you want? You want to mold a 5?
I'm just, making sure we're all on the same page here.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I have kept 7 landers before. Back in the Temple of Epiphany days. Temple of Malice.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to hit your land drops. And this matchup is all about hitting your land drops. And it looks like his card he kept on top was a good one, Teferi Time Raveler.
So you'll have some action early. See, Syed did shock for a Steam Vents. He went to 18, so he got to opt on Tomijko's end step. Glacial Fortress is the second land. Looks like he has a Dovin's Veto and a Spell Pierce at the ready.
Yeah, and this looks pretty bad for Oliver, because if he goes for Teferi, he's going to get a hit with a counterspell. Then Zan's going to untap and slam a Legion War Boss, and that's going to be bad news.
So Drowned Catacomb, here's that Teferi, and how about a Spell Pierce?
Yeah, and it was actually a pretty interesting decision here. Zan can play the Spell Pierce, or he can play the Dovin's Veto, and it depends on how he wants to use his mana for the rest of the game. Chooses to use a Spell Pierce because it's a lot weaker as the game progresses, but it might come back to haunt him if he wants to go for like another 3-drop next turn.
Syed shocks to 16. Here's Legion War Boss number 1. 1 point come across. Tomijko to 19. Tomijko is going to duress. Take a look at a lot of spells. Narset, second War Boss. Dovin's Veto, Saheeli Karn.
Yeah, this is a really stout hand for Zan. Very, like I like to call it duress proof, where even though you're getting hit with a discard effect, your hand's still insane. And with Oliver just a handful of lands, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to recover from this. Zan could even go so far as to play a second Legion War Boss next turn. I might be overextending a little bit into a potential Cry of the Carnarium. And I do expect him to just play one of his random Planeswalkers, whichever it is, Narset or Saheeli. But
Tomijko takes Dovin's Veto. I like this take a lot because it's the only card in the hand that wasn't just a threat.
Yeah, it's also I like to take the unique effects whenever I cast a discard spell, because discard effects should basically restrict your opponent's ability to play a diverse game. And in this particular spot, Duress taking the Dovin's Veto, it's taking the only card that is not a threat, like you said. Yeah.
Syed going to play it carefully. Does not commit the second War Boss. Just makes a token. Going to attack with all that for 5 to Tomijko to 14.
Yeah, and here it's a tough choice. Do you play Saheeli and potentially threaten more damage later on, or do you play Narset and start digging for another Dovin's Veto or some more action? He has a lot of action right now, so my gut says Saheeli, but then you have to think, well, what if Oliver's play that he has is a Dovin's Veto, and which one would you rather have countered?
So play ends up being Saheeli. He'll also play Steam Vents tapped. That would have been his draw for turn. We'll go back to Tomijko. Hallowed Fountain tap, and back to Syed.
Yeah, Oliver here in a bad way.
We know at least one more land from his opener still in hand.
Yeah, needs some help. Needs a Cry of the Carnarium to clear up these goblins from Legion War Boss, because this is no longer able to be dealt with just normal spot removal. Needs a sweeper. Kai's Wrath, Cry of the Carnarium. Next turn or he's dead.
Syed gets in for 7. Tomijko down to 7. He's got to do something, just like you said. Syed's going to cast that Narset.
Yeah, keeping the pressure on. I like it. He's not exposing himself anymore to a Cry of the Carnarium or Kaya's Wrath. He's just developing a little more pressure in a different way. You like threat diversity in this matchup so that it forces your opponent to have a sweeper for the creatures as well as a cleanup spell like the Elder Spell for your Planeswalkers.
Narset's going to give him a look at the top 4. As the board stands, he is 1 turn away from his second open win.
Yeah, this has got to be stressful for Zan. He knows he's really far ahead, and in this spot, it's all about trying to close the gap, making sure you can cut off as many outs that your opponent can have as possible. And in this spot, Oliver desperately needs a top deck, and if he gets it, we've seen him win crazier games.
Prison Realm was the find. Looks like he's going to pass it to Tomijko. Untap, draw. Thought Erasure, that is not it. Plays Drowned Catacomb.
That's a Command the Dreadhorde, but all it's going to get back is a Teferi the Time Raveler.
At the cost of 3 life.
And he bounces a servo token, and that's it.
Yeah, passes back.
Doesn't even get to
on
draw
the
a card.
table. Yeah, Narset stops that. All Zan has to do is turn the team sideways one more time, and he will take home his second trophy.
Legion Warboss makes a token. Zan Syed goes for the face. And
Ignore
Oliver
your Teferi, and there's the handshake. Zan Syed, Team Lotus Box. Abe
Wow.
Corrigan made the top 4. Zan Syed taking the trophy.
Yeah,